Al, it is time to return to an Atome that we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about previously at some point in time. I can look this up very quickly.
It was a little bit ago. While you're looking that up, it is number 22 currently on, or the original was number 22 on the official
The
ranking of
list.
Atome. Yeah,
Yes.
the list.
We last talked about this game on episode 263, which was January of 2022, which I guess would have been let's make this like a 2021 game?
Yeah, guess so. Wow.
Interesting. But yes, hello. Welcome to this week's episode of the Seasonal Anime Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc, Al, and Lady
Hello.
This is episode 392. That's right, 392. And we are discussing Cupid Paradise, Sweet and Spicy Darling.
Parasite.
Yeah, I said what I said.
Parasite.
Look,
Sweet and
the
spicy
people know.
darling.
The people know. Darling.
Darling.
This is the fan disc for Cupid Parasite. And Alice played it, and she has some thoughts and opinions about this here video game.
Thoughts and opinions.
Oh, boy.
Man. Um, so I don't have much in terms of like information or development or anything. Like it came out, what, last month in the US?
That sounds right.
Um,
Because it was recent. May
it was
28th.
recent. May 28th. Okay, wow. So like a month ago.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like I played the last one and I was like, this is fine. It's sure, why not? So then I saw the fan disc. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. There are only a few games where I'm like, I will not play that fan disc, and this is not one of them. Like this was fine.
You mean
Um,
we have the ban list of the Verche Evermore fan disc, which is we can't even get that as a joke because Al will just not play it.
I will not play it. I will not play it.
We do not
I
want
will
Al
just
to
be
suffer.
no,
You're
like
already currently suffering enough. We do not need more suffering.
already suffering enough. Which, by the way, yay, new apartment. Woo!
Yay.
This is the first podcast coming to you from the new apartment with fiber internet.
Yeah,
Whoa, 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 whoa,
we can
whoa.
tell about that gigabyte speed.
Yeah, you can't
Al's
tell,
voice
but
coming
it's
in
fine.
so fast.
So speedy. Yeah, I will not play the Verse Evermore one. But this one I was fine with. It was like, yeah, sure. Like the game was fine. I like some of the characters.
Yeah, I mean it's like smack
Why
dab in the
not?
middle of the list, so like it is very much a like this is a
It is fine.
it's fine, yeah.
Um, the fan disc is also fine. Um,
And goes in some places, let's say.
it does go in some places. I will say there is one new character, entirely brand new character. Um, I, I'm trying to actually. Is that an N? Marinice Levin? Yes, that's an
Sure.
N.
Uh
Marinice Levin.
we are going off of like so we have the official website up. Um and the way they have these characters, like it's like a traditional character page where it's like you got all the main characters and some side characters and everything, but they got their names like on the side as the art, and it's like in really weird cursive that's like not necessarily fitting the picture itself, and it's like cut off in parts, and like it just like the font color doesn't fit the picture because it's bad color grading together. It's a mess, and it makes things very hard to read.
Um, so for the record, this is kind of how this game is that it's just kind of like visual vomit everywhere. Like it's so wild how everything pops and there's so many colors and none of them match, and you're like, this is an assault on my eyeballs. So not unusual. Um, but yes, Marinese Levin is the new kid. He's the new guy. He is a fortune teller. That he's like a mysterious fortune teller that some people like go and try and find him on this like weird monument. Um, because you can't always find him, but he tells fortunes by looking through the hole of a donut.
Man, I want some donuts.
I also want some donuts. I basically always want donuts. You know what? I'm gonna add donuts to my grocery
You
list.
of all people right now deserve some donuts.
It's man, I would love some donuts. But yeah, he looks through donuts to tell your fortune. And since he is the new guy, he is meeting her when she's still technically Cupid. So when he goes to look at her fortune, he can't see anything. There's nothing there. Um and so he's like, this has never happened before. Like I've always been able to see people's fortunes. Why can't I see yours? And then he's just basically attached to you after that because he can't figure out why he can't see your fortune. And she's like, can't tell him why. He doesn't need to know that I'm Cupid. Um, and then he does like stuff like, hey, I'm gonna join your workplace and try and be like one of the like parasite guys looking for love, but is constantly like hitting on her. And they're like, dude, if you don't stop, you're gonna get banned. And he's like, but what if? Um, but he also like does fortune telling like at the matchmaking events is like, that guy that you're seeing right now, and it's not gonna work out. So don't do that. So they're kind of like not mad at him for that, so they can try and like match them with the right person. Um, he's also like very much a person of like everything is set in stone. You cannot change what is foretold until the heroine like starts changing things for him and for people around her. And he's like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Um, so yeah, all of that is happening. Do you know what the twist is with this guy?
Did you tell me?
Maybe.
I don't remember.
He's an alien prince.
Alien.
Alien. Yeah, so the like monument tower where people would find him is actually a spaceship built by like little spacemen that they were
Little
waiting for.
spaceman.
Yeah, spacemen. And they're waiting for like a certain moment in time for the prince to come back and direct them to the homeland. It's supposed to be like a Princess Kaguya type story, of like, you can meet up every once in a while.
Right.
Um, so you have like your one of the mechanics for this game is you have the sweet and spicy endings, the spicy endings, and the sweet endings. Um, some of them also have like bad endings, which is weird, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But most of them have the three: sweet, spicy, and then sweet and spicy. Um, so if you get like the sweet and spicy route with this guy, like he decides that he's going to stay with you on Earth and not go to his home planet and blah blah blah. Like it's fine. Um, the spicy one, I was like, bro, you need to have some self-love because this is pathetic. Because he chooses to like go to space and the Lynette decides to go with him. But since she is Cupid and she doesn't not be Cupid, she can't when she stops becoming Cupid, there we go. Um
Words are
when she
hard.
they're very hard. When she falls in love, like her Cupid's arrow falls off and like that's what happened in all the other endings with the guys in the last game. But in the spicy ending, um her Cupid arrow never falls off, and he's like trying desperately to have her fall in love with him, like on his home planet. And I'm just like, bro, you need help. This is sad. This is so sad. Um, and I'll be really, I don't remember a sweet ending, so it probably didn't make that much of an impact on me. Um,
Unlike some
he,
of these
he,
endings that are going to be coming up.
yeah, like he was okay. I was a little put off by the fact that like he didn't seem like he would actually be interested in the heroine, except for like he can't read her fortune. So I was like, he's not actually like in love with her. He's just in love with the fact that she's a mystery to him, I guess. I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. Um, okay. Then I did the Ryuki route. And hey, do you want the exact same that you went through in the last game with Ryuki to happen again?
That's weird.
Because, hey, let's rehash every single plot point basically with Ryuki, except for now there's another guy there that he's like, that guy's prettier than me. What am I gonna do? Oh no, I have a zit for the first time in my life. What am I gonna do? Um, and it's just like inferiority complex, the route.
Fun.
Um, yeah, yeah. It's not a good route. His sweet and spicy ending is basically like them having his dream Japanese wedding, where he designs like her traditional Japanese wedding dress. Um, he ends up actually not having the green hair, which is interesting. So I didn't recognize him at first. I was like, who the hell am I marrying right now? Who's that guy? Oh, it's you. Okay, sorry, your hair's different.
Who are you?
Who are you? Um, his sweet ending is that in the previous route, he designed a wedding dress for you that's like in the Western style, and you end up getting married in that. Um, oh, also, like he ends up helping one of the side characters, Owen, um be hot and figure out love. So there's that. Um, his spicy ending was extremely off-putting for me. And it will not be the last. It is extremely off-putting for me. Um, because you have Ray Under, who is like the hot male model type guy that he's like struggling dealing with. And so in his spicy ending, Lynette and Ryuki are like on the couch getting ready to do the do, you know? And Ray Under just shows up, like lets himself into Ryuki's house. It's like, bro, what? And he's like, go ahead. It's okay. I'll watch. And they're like, huh? He's like, no, I want to see how you guys love each other. So please proceed. And Ryuki being like, inferiority complex the route, he's like, all right, I'll sure show you. And like really gets into it in front of this guy. And I'm like, this man is watching them like bang. And the CG for it's so weird. And I'm like, I'm not trying to kink shame people. I just kind of want to know what I'm getting myself into. And I didn't know that that's what I was getting myself into. I was like, voyeurism, huh? That's not really my thing. Okay, sure. So that was a pretty sour way to end his route, I suppose. Whew, boy.
Oh boy.
Um, yeah, that was a choice. That was
Um,
an absolute choice.
will this make you feel any different about this character if I told you three other characters that this dude voiced?
Please do.
The main character from Tonikatsu,
Okay.
the Demi Fiend from Shin Megami Tensei 3,
Okay.
and then Matthew from Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Who's Matthew? Oh my God. Now I'm just thinking of Matthew's English line of "I'm feeling full of beans."
What if this guy had told you he was full of beans?
Well, he does eat a lot of like natto, the Japanese
Hmm.
breakfast food, which I think
Hmm.
is also beans.
Yeah. It's like fermented
So
beans or something like that.
yeah, so he's feeling full of beans.
So I mean, it works.
It works. All right. I don't hate Ryugi quite as much, but he still kind of sucks. Um, so then I did Shelby Snail's route, which Shelby was my favorite from the last game. So I was like, all right, let's go, Shelby. Let's see what happens. They did my boy Shelby wrong. They did him wrong. Um, okay, so his route is fine. There's nothing really wrong with his route generally. Um, it's actually a pretty realistic scenario in that like he's dealing with a really high stress situation where like a company is trying to do like an aggressive buyout of his company and he's trying to figure out how do I handle it. He's also trying to figure out like how do I be a good husband because they just got married. Um, all of this ends up with him like y'all go on your honeymoon, then you get back, and then he ends up having like an ED situation where he's like, I can't get it up, man. Like this is nothing against you. I can't. Which like that's pretty realistic. You know, he's really stressed out. He's trying to figure out what he's doing. Like that's a pretty natural situation. I was like, oh, that's an interesting take for an Atome to like deal with that kind of thing. Um, um, his sweet and spicy route's fine. His sweet route's fine. His spicy route's fine. Like, there's nothing egregious in any of those. They're all cute. They're fun. Like, sweet and spicy route, he ends up like meeting her godparents, literally her parents who are gods, Mars and Venus. And like her dad ends up like really, really loving him and granting him wishes and his wish is basically just like I want to be by her side forever. I want to take care of her as much as I can. I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. Like you have a god literally saying, "Hey, I'll do whatever you want." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good. I just want to be by your daughter." Um, so that was nice. And in most of them, he deals with the aggressive businessman whose name is Eli Omar. He's French.
Oh,
Ha ha ha. And he runs like the like this weird love resort type thing where the honeymoon happens. But they did this boy dirty because he's one of the few characters in this game who has a bad ending and he has a bad spicy ending. And how you get his bad spicy ending is one extremely offensive because when he like starts talking about the struggles he's having um with like the ED situations, like in order for you to get his bad spicy ending, you basically have to be like, "Oh, I don't care about his health." It's like, why are you like you married this guy? You don't care about his health? What is wrong with
I
you?
know. So here's the thing I don't get about this.
Okay.
Why would you include a bad ending for something like this, which is just supposed to be fan service?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And like this one is so offensive to me because essentially, like I said, you say you don't care about his health. And then Lynette ends up like cheating on him with Eli, the French man.
Oh,
And like basically ends up like Shelby loses his company and he loses his wife. And then like Lynette is on a balcony with Eli just like making out and Eli's like trying specifically to make sure that like Shelby, who is below the balcony, sees it all. And I'm just like, this is horrible. Like, that's so mean.
it's real
I don't
weird.
know why anybody would even like that ending. Um, one of the people that I follow for reviews, I sent you her link, Atome Kitten, was like really into that ending. I'm like, why? It's not a good ending. I mean, it's literally the bad ending, but like, I don't know. It was not fun. I felt bad.
I guess unless you have like a sad man kink or something,
Man, I don't.
that's the only way you could get like enjoyment out of that.
Yeah, like it feels kind of wrong to get enjoyment out of that. I don't know. Like it just made me sad because I love Shelby so much. I was like, oh. This is the worst. Um, so then I did the Gil route, and Gil was one of my least favorites in the last game because he's like stupidly obsessed with the protag. They're married. They go on their honeymoon. I realized that he's like insanely rich kid, and I didn't realize that they have two weddings because they want to have one on each coast. Sure.
It's excessive.
Yeah, it's wild. Um, and his whole route basically is him struggling to feel like he can protect Lynette because he's like, I'm not a very tough man, and I got punched earlier and I got completely floored. I don't know what to do. And so like he ends up like locking himself away in the garage for a while and building something, and he's doing fine. Everything's mostly fine. She feels a little neglected, but um basically ends up being a situation where somebody's like, I was gonna say steals her, but kidnaps her is the correct terminology. And is holding her for ransom. And if you remember from the last game, Gil ended up building Bumble Pig the transfer car.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So how do you top Bumble Pig the transfer car? I don't know that they successfully pulled it off, but they had him build basically like a Lovecraft Iron Man suit.
Sure.
Oh, hi, Ichiban. I kind of need that. I need the wire. Okay. We're just gonna have to deal. Because he's decided that he needs to be right on top of me.
That's Ichiban for you.
And it's Ichiban. So so yeah, he builds like a Iron Man suit so he can protect you. And um in his spicy ending, he ends up becoming like Yandere type situation where he like rich man versions of it, where he locks you in his bedroom for a long time, and then Protag's like, but what if I want to do this thing? And he's like, oh, I'll just have it built on the house. So she's like, I want to go see a movie. And he's like, I'll build you a movie theater. And she's like, I want to buy clothes. He's like, I'll have a person bring an entire store to you. Um, so like that's his reaction to not being able to protect her. Um,
I think that's not a
which
good reaction.
it is not. Again, like he's so absurdly obsessed that it's really off-putting. So like again, even with his like fan disc route, I'm like, it feels kind of the same. Like I don't really feel like there's a lot of personal growth here where you learn to like, hey, you can not obsess. That's a good thing. But he does become a successful writer. And he ends up hanging out with a YouTuber called Lovebirds. So there's that, I guess.
All right, here's the question: would you like this character more if they were these characters instead, from the same person who
Okay.
voiced them?
Okay.
Uh, Older Kohaku
Oh,
in
really?
the Inuyasha spinoff.
Okay.
Spoilers. I guess he still lives. Oh no,
He does
I'm
still live,
shocked.
yes.
Itsuki from Tokyo Mirage Sessions,
Really?
or Kaito from Robotics Notes.
Oh, huh. I mean, yeah, kinda. I mean, those are all better characters, but I don't know, maybe not Kohaku. Um, so then I did the Peter route.
Peter.
And and again, this one's like a rehash
Peter
of
Griffin.
no, not Peter Griffin.
Fortnite's Peter Griffin.
Oh my God. Who's jacked for no reason. Um, no, Peter is Jupiter, the god of the king of gods, that kind of fun stuff. A lot of this is again rehashing what happened in the last game. He's like, "Oh no, I don't feel as good as my brother Zeus, and I don't know that I'm ready to lead the gods, and I'm a baby, and I'm scared of everything." And so he does a lot of training to like be less scared of everything. But in that process ends up like neglecting Lynette. So she feels all sad. Um, and then like they have this whole subplot of like Zeus is not actually dead, and he's like trying to freeze the Earth from the core of Earth. And they have to like figure out how to remove the stone where he's buried so that he can't freeze the Earth. So like they have to go and find all the humans and send them up to heaven to protect them, and find all the animals and send them up to heaven and protect them, and rebuild Earth and blah 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 blah. Um, this route has one of the worst endings I think I've ever encountered in Atome, mainly because I was not expecting it. And like again, like with the Ryuki thing, you gotta give me some warning. I'm not trying to kink shame, but I'm also not trying to a wolf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Like his good end, he figures out like, oh, this is how we deal with Zeus. Him and Lynette work together and basically murder him with Cupid's arrows. Um, but in his spicy ending, like there's a part where he uses all of his powers and he turns into Chi, who is like a little critter companion that she had in the last game that turns out like, hey, it was Peter slash Jupiter the whole time. Um, and so he turns into Chi, and she like has to basically protect him on Earth during the freezing period, and like feed him enough so that he can get his power back. But in the spicy ending, he like turns into like a divine beast wolf man at one point to protect her. But again, like can't seem to transform all the way back to a human. So he like has mostly the body of a human, but then like entire wolf head, upper body type thing. And his voice actor is just like growling and barking basically. And I'm just like, ooh. And she's like, maybe this will give him the energy to turn back into a person if I just do the do. And I'm like, brother, no, no, this is not my jam. It was, ugh.
Now, okay, let me ask you this: how do you feel about those the voice actor doing all that wolf stuff, knowing that that's the same voice actor who voices Chow in Yakuza 7 and 8?
No way.
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, he, huh. This, so that's him doing the Chi voice too? Oh my God. That's so wild. Well, anyway, don't f a wolf. That's all I
Moral of
gotta
the
say, really.
story.
More, I was like, I don't like this. I gotta go. Um, Alan's route's just sad. Um, but it did lead to one of the best moments of the game. Um, so the gist of his route is that like in the last game, Lynette and him became demons together. So they like can't be around the people that they love anymore. So they got married in a private ceremony, and they live like hundreds of years on Earth in different areas. They have to keep moving because they never age. So people think they're monsters. Eventually they move down into hell and hang out with Clarice, who is their little demon friend. She also has a little familiar named RB. And she's like, yeah, this is a guy that I used to date that I'm really in love with, and now he's just like a little goblin man that follows her.
And he's got the
Which I
meats.
forget. Well, I forget which route it was in. I really can't remember which route it was in. But anyway, it turns out that like Clarice has a thing for Robin, the guy who runs the donut shop. And so like it's heavily implied that RB is Robin as a demon familiar because he was in love with her and decided that instead of dying, he wanted to like make a pact with her. Um, and she's like, yeah, you can sometimes turn into a human and we can, because yeah, by the way, she's a succubus. Um, but yeah, so a lot of it is just like isolation, sadness, this sucks. Um, they end up having to like fight Satan at one point.
You know.
Um, because Satan takes over. Oh, they end up basically having the new Cupid, Sylvie Scott hang out with him for a year and he gets bullied and it's also sad. But then Alan realizes like I really want a kid, but they can't have kids because he's a demon and she's a demon and demons can't have babies. Um so yeah, you gotta fight Satan. Satan takes over Sylvie's body and is trying to use that to like get into Celestia to fight the gods. Ends up killing Lynette because Lynette protects Alan from a arrow. And then Lynette is like wandering around and refusing to actually like cross the gates in hell and die forever, be reincarnated or whatever. So Alan like makes a deal with the devil, depending on what happens. Like one of them, he just dies and disappears. Cool. One of them, he loses his voice, and then another one, he loses an eye. I don't remember which is which. Doesn't matter. Um, but anyway, the ending that I particularly want to highlight is the one where we defeat Satan and the gods are happy with us. They're like, wow, demons aren't all so bad. And so they go back into hell and they're hanging out in their house. And then there's a God divine blessing that comes down and like impregnates Lynette with the combination of their souls with twins.
Oh. Oh.
And the game prompts you like, what's the boy's name and what's the girl's name?
Sure does.
I should not be trusted with this. I cannot be trusted with this because I named him D's and Nuts.
As you should. Proper children's names.
Proper children's names. And it just kept getting funnier and funnier every single time she said something. She's like, D's and Nuts. Those are the names of our children. They're such good children, D's and Nuts. D's was always curious, while Nuts was more calm but cried easily. My husband, the father of D's and Nuts, was also Satan, the ruler of hell.
Oh boy.
Like art, art. It was I had zero regrets naming them D's and Nuts. Which I guess is worth mentioning. Alan takes over as Satan after they defeat Satan because it's like, oh, there's kind of a power vacuum in hell and we need a Satan. And you know what? You're kind of a good guy. You can be Satan now.
Yay.
So that happens. But yeah, D's and Nuts.
Oh boy.
One's a demon, one's an angel. Um, I was crying laughing. I didn't realize that's what was gonna happen, but it was great. Um, okay, where am I? And then I did the Rebel route last, because that was the last one that was recommended. Um, his is wild. Um, So I don't know how much you remember about the last game with him, but he's the Sillywood actor. And at the end of the last game, he like you go to a movie premiere with him and he announces like, "Hey, we're engaged. We're gonna get married." So this basically takes place like immediately after that, where his agent's like, no, that's not happening. Like you're right on the cusp of hitting it big as an actor. Like you have a big audience with women. Like I no, you can't do that." And he is struggling with, well, what do I want to do now? Because like I want to marry her. That's really all I want out of life is to marry her. So I am struggling. Um, so he decides at one point, like, I'm gonna make my own movie, and it bombs and basically gets like, what are those called? The Razzies.
Yeah.
Basically the this world equivalent of that, where he like plays a dog. Um, So then he is also trying to, because he won't accept any role where it has a love scene. He won't kiss anybody. He won't do any kind of like love scene. And people are like, then why would we hire you? Like, what do you have to offer then? Um, so his career is kind of tanking with these decisions. So he quits for a while and starts working at the donut shop with Robin, as you do. Um, Then they go to Berenice to get their fortune told, and Berenice is basically like, "Yeah, the only way you'll get married is if y'all go give blood."
What?
Yeah. So they go and give blood, and Eli walks out of the blood mobile and is like, here's some tickets to my love island. Have fun, enjoy it, kids." Um So eventually they do go. They have a good time. They're also investigating for the like mythological society that they are part of. One thing I do want to make a side note of is that like these two have amazing communication. Like that's one thing in Otome games that you rarely see is that like at one point they have a disagreement or like a misunderstanding. And basically, like, immediately as soon as she has time to get him alone, she like takes him to a side room and is like, okay, we need to talk about what happened. Like, this is where I'm standing. Like, how is it for you? Are you okay? All that. And I was like, holy shit, this never happens in Otome games. What do you mean people are talking to each other? So that was great. Um, but yeah, they try and investigate the mythological society thing and end up causing a stir because the dude is supposed to be shirtless for the picture that they're taking, and people like realize who he is because of his physique. And so then they start like chasing him around the island. He ends up like borrowing a sea-doo and running away. Um, can you not get in my mouth, please? Okay. Um, Robin ends up like protecting him. And then Eli contacts him and is like, "Hey, I would like you to promo my island. Maybe write a sea-doo or something." He's like, yeah, I'm licensed to do that and all. So like, um, why not?" It causes a big stir, obviously, that all this is going on. Um, I'm just gonna get to the like meat of this situation. The meat of it. Um, at some point in this whole thing, like there is a situation where Lynette once again gets kidnapped. Um, she wakes up and Eli has stolen her and is basically like, "Hey, I realized that there's something amazing about your blood." Which she's like, maybe because I used to be a god, I don't know, but um, he's like, "Your blood can cure my lobsterification." And she's like, "Huh?
Excuse me?
You're what?" And
You
he's
want
like,
to run that by
"Yes."
me again?
They had noticed when they were at the island that like the logo for his company is a lobster, but like you can't actually find any lobster, like no restaurant there sells any lobster, so they were really upset about it. Um, but he explains that because his family was represented by the lobster, like they ate a lot of lobster all the time, and that he got cursed by a lobster, that anytime he ate it, he would turn into a lobster for 10 minutes. And he's like, I got bullied all the time as a kid because I kept turning into a lobster. And I'm like, stop eating lobster then, you weirdo. God, what is wrong with you? So his whole thing is he wants to cure his lobsterification so that he can eat lobster again. Um, so he like uses her blood and a secret ingredient and ends up curing the lobsterification. He brings in like a whole spread of lobster foods and like starts eating them in front of her and is like, look at this. I'm not turning into a lobster. And
Normal
she's the
things
whole
you
time,
say.
right? The whole time she's like, can I eat some of that? Because that looks good as hell. Um, so then he leaves and is like, I have an evil plan where I'm going to inflict lobsterification on the entire world to get back at them for what they did to me. Um, so he like chains her to a bed and leaves. And then a talking lobster pops up and is like, "Hey, what up? I'm here to rescue you." Turns out that like the secret ingredient was like something from this guy, and he's like, "Hey, so I'm gonna get you out of here, and we're gonna figure this out. Big rescue time, but also I'm a lobster, so I'm gonna need your help a little bit." The whole time she's like thinking how he's like Sebastian from Little Mermaid without actually calling him Sebastian from Little Mermaid. But then she's like, wait, that's a crab, not a lobster. So like that's an ongoing joke. But yeah, it's just talking lobster because there was a whole thing earlier on where Roll's like, hey, did you know that like lobsters can be immortal if they like never actually outgrow their shells and blah blah blah. I don't know, it was a whole thing. So this is an implied to be like a very ancient lobster who has learned human speech. Also knows how to use computers because um he has informed the CIA about this whole operation for lobsterification. Um and so Roll and Robin were both at the donut shop when she got taken because he was working at the donut shop as a worker. Um, and you find out that Robin this whole time has been an undercover CIA agent trying to find out who was trying to deal with the lobsterification and was being fed information from like a I think it was called like Black Lobster or something weird. Like he had a code name. And so he's like trying to find out where this whole situation is going down. So the plan is to like throw this lobsterification dust down on people with drones and turn them into lobsters. And he also like turns in a whole entire CIA agency group into lobsters at one point. Um, So Roll is like, "Hey, I'm gonna rescue her. She's my future wife. I gotta take care of her." So he like parachutes basically with a motorcycle um out of a helicopter that Robin's driving and drives it on like the castle roof and rescues her. And then Robin ends up like landing the helicopter and using a sniper rifle and like shooting all the drones. And then Eli like pulls out a gun and is gonna shoot Raoul, but Raoul like throws the lobsterification vial at him and Robin shoots it and then he turns into a lobster. And they're like, hey, dumbass. Um, so yeah, Robin has been working with an ancient lobster. He did not realize he was working with an ancient lobster, but he's part of the CIA and um they end up doing like a buddy cop film based off of this whole situation and like revives Roll's like action career, his action film career. Because they're like, oh man, he can do cool stunts like driving a motorcycle on a roof or jumping it out of a helicopter. Like that's neat. But like the buddy cop film is what does it. And so like he gets the permission to marry her. But all because of lobsterification. Lobsterification. That's a hard word to say.
Bless up.
Um, I was like, you know what? I'm glad this ended with a buddy cop film.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's the gist of Cupid, Parasite, Sweet and Spicy Darling.
Oh boy.
I'm glad that I left Roll for last because holy lobsterification is not something I expected.
Lobsterification.
Lobster and the CIA. I was like, huh?
They
What do you mean the CIA is here?
they really went in some very dumb directions in this game for better or for worse, it seems like.
Yep. Yep. Um, Roll's route was definitely a highlight.
Yeah.
Um, I would say his route is like bar none the best. Um,
It seems like it. I mean,
yeah, like
what other route are you going to get lobsterification in?
and a talking ancient lobster.
Yeah.
Which one thing I forgot to mention, I don't think I mentioned this anyway, is that like before her and ancient lobster escape, she's like, "Hey, do you mind if I eat some of this? Because I'm really, really hungry." And he's like, "They're already dead. I'll look away. Just don't get any ideas about me." It's like, oh, that's actually pretty funny. So yeah, that's Cupid Parasite, Sweet and Spicy Darling.
Oh boy. All right. Well, let's put it on the list. This is game number 40 that's going to be on the list.
Oh my God, 40?
The 40th
Wow.
Atome game.
Wow.
Where do you want to start on the list?
Uh,
Should we
let's
start around
start.
the original game?
I was thinking we'll start around 25.
Okay. It's about near the original game. Is this
Yeah,
better or worse than Psychedelica of the Ashen Hawk?
better.
Is it better or worse than Hatoful Boyfriend Holiday Star?
Better?
Is it better or worse than Winter's Wish Spirits of Edo?
I'd probably put it under that.
Okay. So,
They should really give me warnings about kinks.
yes, that's true. Oops. So, just about near the original game.
It's fine.
Spider.
Spider.
Gotta keep the tradition
Perfect.
alive.
You got to get the
So yeah,
tradition. Cupid Paradise.
Cupid Paradise or Parasite, whatever you want to call it. Call it whatever you like. Sweet and Spicy Darling coming in at number 24 on the Owl's official ranking of Atome. We are now at the 40 games on here.
That's a crazy thing. I never thought we would get this high.
And there's still more Atome to come.
Yeah, I've got one coming out, what, next week? I mean, it's gonna take a back seat to Daybreak. I'm trying to remember when it actually
It's soon.
it'll arrive on Monday.
So yeah.
So that's what, the first?
Sure.
So yeah, there's no way I'll beat that before Daybreak, so I'll hold off on that. But that being said, I have the fan disc, another fan disc, Radiant Tail Fanfare.
Right.
coming out next week that I will get to experience and see how I think about it.
Yay! So yeah, there's your new Otome update. We have
We
Otome.
did it. We got through another one.
We did indeed. That's gonna do it for us this week. So Al can go pass out.
God, I hope so.
So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonlanguagecheckup.com or sac.cool. It's where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Ann Ladium, go to annladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can follow us on Blue Sky at seasonlanimecheckup.com. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early. Our exclusive monthly Patreon podcast that we do. We recently just put up a new episode of that where we watch Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
So you can hear our thoughts and opinions about that. And some other stuff that we've watched over the course of the year so far up on the Patreon. So that's all there. Next week, we're probably going to either do our rest of 2024 preview of stuff coming out in the back half of the year, or if I can find it, we can watch the Blu-ray exclusive episodes of Negion and talk about Negion Season 2.
Oh,
One
I
or
would
the
love
other.
to do that.
We'll figure that out as we go along through this week.
Okay.